Hi, welcome back. We're back onto the BSA engine for a little while I've got a bit of time. I've been machining the casting that we did a few episodes ago that was a little bit too deep because I did it with an open mould, if you refer back to that episode. So I managed to get that down to a thickness just by clamping it to the mill table and putting some shims and packers under it, and sort of doing the two outsides, then the middle, clamping there in the middle, doing the outsides, then clamping the outsides without moving it, and then doing the middle. So yeah, as I said in that episode, if I got a better casting, it wouldn't have needed that. But anyway, regardless, we're down to thickness there, or close to. So the next step is to get it following on from that one, which fits round the crankshaft nut reasonably well, is I need to get a piece out of there just to fit round the crankshaft nut. So that line there represents the height of the crank. If I zoom you in a little bit, you'll see what I mean. So if we can see that, where the crankshaft end is, that's the height I want to go to with the machining, just up there, because that will sit there. So I'm going to set this back up now and just take a rough amount of that out to get me somewhere near. Just take that piece out to get me somewhere near, and then once I can sit that down, I can start to see where my other features need to go. So we'll get over to the mill. I need to start off by getting some kind of flat reference surface on this side. So I'm just going to take the slightest bit off there. This will be where the banjo bolt goes, just to give me something to start from. That I think will do. I've got a flickering light somewhere on one of these. Now we have a flat surface along there. I've clamped, as you can see, through a packing block with this part raised. It's not the greatest support, so I'm going to have to be very careful. I'm now going to just take that portion out there. And I've just put a couple of stop pieces there to stop any rotation of this before I start machining. There we have the groove milled out a little bit. I might need to make some more adjustments to it yet. So I've got 3 blocks there, giving me some location. One round the back there as well now. There we are so far. So the width of the groove is about right. It's going in. Maybe need to go a fraction more, but I need to go more that way, so my groove needs to head that way a little bit. I'm just going to take small amounts off at a time. I need it to just fit into the shape of that casting there, just give me the maximum amount I can of room. So the height's about right, that's fitting about right, and it's sitting flat on the casting. By the time we've got gaskets in there on the inside and the outside, I've got a little bit of clearance I need. So I'll just take a little bit more off and keep working my way up that way with it. I've got that to size now, and I've got another line on there to show you what that is. That now fits on there nicely. We've got some wiggle room. I didn't need to go as close and accurate as I started out doing, but you can always take it off. It's not so easy to add on and all that. So there's the cover going on, and we've got room to manoeuvre it. So this is very awkward one-handed. So with that, like that, the next line on the other side of there is the oil pump position. So when the oil pump is sitting on like that, with a screw in or two, I need to relieve the body of the block back so that it's in line with this diagonal of the oil pump, which is about on these lines here that I've drawn on, and that gives me the clearance of this part of the oil pump. Then this curved bit should just be a case of filing that, the opposite rounding onto that block there. So I'm going to set up and take this off now, this shaded part. Possibly need to go deeper. I'll have a look as I go along. And this is the next setup. I could either take all of this material off, or there's enough room in there for it to sit, providing I've got clearance of the oil pump. So that roughly is the body diameter of the oil pump. What I think I might try is just to bore that out to the shape and try and leave as much material as I can, especially around this area where the oil feed's going to be. If this doesn't work, I can always just machine it off. It's at an angle that matches the piece that I would have to take off, so roughly that's level there, going from that point up to sort of that point. So it's bore it at a strange angle. I think this will hold okay. Very unconventional, but we'll give it a go. I'm going to set the boring head up and I'm going to relieve that area. So this is a little shot of the slightly dodgy boring process. And I've got the head set up to the size of the reliever hole that I need, and I'm just feeding the table in to get the cut. And I'll just continue by this method until I've got the hole that I need. I'll be back in a while and we'll try it on over the oil pump. So far so good. I had to make a little adjustment and just move it over slightly as well, just to make that a little bit wider there. These areas are marked off there. I've got to just nip that corner off. I'll just do that with a file, and this piece here I'll do with a file as well, that just follows the contour of the oil pump. Yeah, complex little thing to make on a manual mill. So that will fit somewhere around there, but currently that little block, get that in the shot, that little curve you can see on the oil pump there, that little ski slope bit is just stopping that seat in there. So I'll go and do a little bit of filing, have a cup of coffee, and then we'll come back and try it again. I've machined off, well, dremeled off a little curve there that follows the oil pump, and we've got our bore out that follows the body of the oil pump. I just need to put a slight groove in here to clear the sort of radius of the oil pump body. So I've got it set up very crudely there on some blocks and a little taper wedge underneath there, and a ball end mill just to put a little say a little groove down there. So we'll do that and then we'll see how it fits. After machining the groove there to clear that part of the oil pump, that fits on quite nicely now. Now, as you can see, a lot of this is actually surplus and is serving no function. So despite having gone to all the trouble of getting that curve in there, although it looks kind of nice, I might end up taking this off here. If nothing else, I can see what I'm doing down there in the gap, how clear I am from the oil pump. I may also have to, looking at it, take a little bit more out of here as well to clear the nut when it's turning. So I'll keep shoveling away at it. As we are at the moment, I can just get the cover. There's the cover with the bolt in. Our cover goes on. Sorry, I'm drifting. This handheld. Our cover goes on and fits quite well. So yeah, so far so good. The awkward bit obviously comes, as you no doubt gathered, when we've got to try and drill the hole for there, the hole for there, and the seal for the crank, and put the oil gallery through. Yeah, this is a lot of work, isn't it, for a little gain sort of thing, but it's an interesting sort of project, something different. So I'll carry on. I think I'll take a bit of this material off here, and then have a look where we go from there. I'm just wondering actually, if I take the cover off and put that in the outer, then I could actually get a position for that thread from going this way. Yeah, before I take more material off, because obviously the more material I've got, the better it's supported, the less it rocks. Yeah, I think I'll get that in now. Now, what I am wondering is whether to do this bolt idea or not through that part, or whether to just go for the crank fixing, a piece of tube sticking out there and one central bolt, because you've got two points of contact, even though that's rotating, and a bolt holding it. Do I need to bolt it there as well? I'll have a think as I go along. I'll take this cover off and try and get a point for that. Our cases are bolted together with our alloy block in place, and we can see through there, and I've just put a transfer punch in there, and I've tapped a little mark, so that gives us a way of getting a location at that point there. So now I can take this back to piece again and get that machined out. I've just looked at drilling that through, and in on-the-fly alterations to the plan, rather than bolting from the other side with my little modified bolt. I don't think I've got enough material to do it, and what I'm going to do instead is make a little piece up, a threaded piece with a plain 7mm portion on it that will just push over, and I've just recessed that, so we've got an M7 or 7mm hole reamed there, and I've put a 11mm 7/16 recess in it to take that little O-ring there, which is 7mm ID, 11mm OD, and that will seal the oil gallery, I hope. We shall see. I can always go back to it and alter it and drill through if I have to, but as usual you can't take the material off. Can't put it back on after you took it off, rather. So we'll get that out and see how that looks, and then I've got to look at doing the other holes for the crankshaft, etc. That's not a tap, that's a ripper cutter. It's the only 7/16 end mill I had. That will go up into there. That's just a nice press fit in that. And it's also going to be sealed with the O-ring, and then it screws into there. That'll be Loctited in. Ultimately, there's no slot or anything to tighten it down with. I could put one in if I wanted to. So now our little O-ring will go over there, and our block will fit on like that. Now I'm going to have to make this little relief a bit bigger here, but I'm ready now for the next stage. The cover still fits fine. It goes in there. So the next bit will be, I think, getting a mark for the crankshaft, getting our little feed pipe in the crankshaft. But I think what I may do initially is make a little sort of marking gauge. That is a good fit on there. That's it. Make a little sort of transfer punch for in the end of the crank there. So again, off camera I'll go and do that. There's our little transfer punch for in the end of the crankshaft, and we can pop him in there. It says it was loose, not wanting to get it stuck, like that. So that gives us a little point, just enough to mark where we're going. To get that out again, there's just a magnet like that. So hopefully it doesn't get stuck down there. So if I pop him in there, then obviously I need to align that correctly. What I think I'm going to do is actually put it in the outer cover, into the timing cover, and I'll probably just retain it in there with a little bit of tape or something, double-sided tape, and then lower the cover on and tap the back of the cover to give me an impression of where that's going to be. I think that should work sufficiently. We'll try it. So a little bit of double-sided foam tape there, and I'll just pop that into there, and that'll just retain that sufficiently to get that transfer mark. I'll just pop a bit of permanent marker over the area where the mark's going to be. Hopefully it shows it up a little bit better. Oh, sorry, I've got hiccups. that on there. Pop a couple of alignment bolts in. Like that. There. Then with a nylon hammer, do a few raps with that, and hopefully we've got a mark. What should we have? Just there. To get the centre of that, I'm going to bore the hole in the alloy oil feed block to take an alignment pin. The hole ultimately will have a seal in it, so it doesn't need to be super accurate in the oil feed block. But to start with, we need that and that aligned to get our next hole, clamp hole off the oil pump down there. So I'll take it over to the mill. So we've got our wiggler in the chuck there, and we'll start off. Put the power on. We'll start off just getting our wiggler centred. Like that. Move down, zoom in a little bit. There we go, we can see our dot there. It stays in position. Still in position? No. There we go. Do that clamp. Then, apologies if my arm appears in the video frame here. And I just line up by eye. And I also use a magnifying glass for this. That's it. So that's a centre point established. So say I'll drill and ream this 8mm, I think. But I've got a 6mm pilot hole in there, and I'm just going to go through. This is 7.7, the same size as the hole in the crankshaft, and this is going 10mm deep. Second thoughts, I'm going to do it 5mm deep, this one. because it's only going to be a location hole. I've already got the 6mm hole down to be 10mm depth, which will be the bore for this drillway here. You can see the lines I've roughly drawn on, and I'll go into that in some greater detail in a little while. There's our little peg for the crankshaft that will go into that part there, and also into the crank like that, and that will fit with a little bit of careful alignment there, like that. That locates our alloy block nicely. Hopefully the timing cover still fits. Which it does. That's that stage done. Now I can start to look at this with the oil pump on. So if we take that off there, and I'll fit the oil pump. Make sure we're lined up there. Our next stage is to do the same stud marking method with the oil pump hole there. I'll make up a stud that will screw into there and give me a punch mark on the body wherever that lines up. I'm going to have to relieve this a little bit more here. So put that on like that, yeah. That's a bit tight up against that body actually. Right, so where that swung over, I'm just a little smidge tight just there on the oil pump body. So I'll just have to take a little bit more out of this. I'll do that off camera. It only wants like a millimetre, if that, half a millimetre. It's just rubbing it. If I tap that, it'll go on. Like that, and the cover should still fit. Which it does. It says, yeah. So yeah, it just needs a little bit more clearance. It's easy to make them just that little bit too snug. So I think I'm going to call it quits at that for today. I've probably got enough material here to let me come out so you see me. I've probably got enough material here to do a video update on this so far, so I'll get the card out of the camera and we'll have a look at that, and then we'll move on to the next stage. So thanks for watching, thanks for following this series. I know it's been quite long-winded. Hopefully people are picking some things up from it. It's all just really throwing ideas about and what people can develop from this, and any machining tips, BSA tips, whatever comes out of it. So thanks for following, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.